Where do you buy those things? Wow.
Oh, no, that was just mean.
Good morning, everyone. We are now on Facebook Live and recording to the cloud, and want to welcome you to this service on this third Sunday in the season of Lent, March 7th, 2021. Whoever you are along life's journey, you are welcome with us in this virtual community for worship. We worship, as always, recognizing that we worship in the Forsyth County area on stolen land stewarded for countless generations by the peoples of the Kiawe, Saponi, Cherokee, and Catawba nations. We worship in an economy that was built on enslaving people, indentured servanthood, and structural inequity in our economy. And so we worship longing for the wisdom of sacred presence to build a more equitable, just, and earth-friendly economy. We begin with our worship leader, Reverend Simmonds, offering the opening prayer.
Thank you, Craig. Please join me in this opening prayer. Holy author and imaginer, help remind us that we are a reflection of you. Created does creating. Just as you built a world with words, we also design, erect, and install altars in the world with our words and actions. Just as you purify and clear away in the unmaking and remaking, may we be willing to do in the breaking and softening of each new day. Amen. Please hear the opening song from Sterling Garris, Immortal, Invisible God, Only Wise.
Immortal, invisible, God only wise, in light inaccessible, hid from our eyes, most blessed, most glorious, the Ancient of Days, Almighty, victorious, thy great name we praise. Unresting, unhasting, and silent as light, not wanting, not wasting, but ruling in might. Your justice like mountains, high soaring above, your clouds which are fountains of goodness and love. So perfect your glory, so brilliant your light, your angels adore you, all veiling their sight. All praise we would render, your angels do, in all that the splendor of light hiding you. Right.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Sterling. We've come to the time in our service for our celebrations and prayer concerns. I want to celebrate everyone who came to the church and cleaned up the kitchen. I saw the picture on Facebook. I don't want to try to name everybody because I'm afraid I'll forget folks, But if you want to, you can like unmute yourself and name yourself if you want to, but I just want to celebrate that y'all did that. Thank you so much. Are there other celebrations and prayer concerns that people want to lift up at this time?
My brother, Cecil, who lives in South Dakota, so we don't get to see him very often, is in the hospital. He has had bouts on and off with bladder cancer, and it has
Oh,
returned,
ouch.
but they believe they can get it treated, but he's got to go through chemo, etc. He is 81.
Wow. The poor guy.
I'd like to thank the congregation for the thoughts and prayers for my sister Kathy. She passed away 2 weeks ago, and today would have been her 74th birthday. And she had I think, a peaceful passing, and I appreciate all your thoughts and concerns.
I also have a thank you. My brother-in-law that Parkway helped pray for, he survived he's still surviving yellow fever, and
Yellow fever?
he's
Wow.
not yellow fever. I forget, you get it in Arizona, valley fever. And with the horrible medicine that they don't want to give to anybody. And now he's bicycling. He's up to 19 miles.
Oh my goodness.
Right. Well, he was doing 20 when it hit, and then he was out of it for a month, but he's back, and he survived the medicine they don't like to give anyone because it's so horrible. He survived it. And I really am grateful to Parkway, because I think, I don't know what it is, but it seems like people always are saying thank you to Parkway for helping in these situations. So, and I add my name to that group. Thank you.
Real quick, there's a few things in the chat. Rebecca R. is celebrating International Women's Day. Craig and Michael would like to say that Craig's sister remains very positive about her ongoing challenges, has ongoing challenges, so continue to pray for her. Craig S. says the community engagement team distributed 16 container gardens and lots of mint pots for kids yesterday. And that's really exciting. Craig and Michael says praises for family visits, sister, brother, goddaughter, and nephew, Michael's. And Tony V says grateful for my first vaccine dose yesterday. And then Craig S. Thanks be to God, the U.S. Forest Service withdrew their environmental impact statement on the Oak Flat Apache stronghold, offering more time to protect that sacred site. That's it for the chat ones, unless more come in. Are there any others? I would like to ask prayers for my family. My Aunt Irene passed away somewhat sudden a few days ago in the hospital. So my grandmother is one of 13 children. And so I have always grown up with all my aunts, my great aunts and uncles. And it's coming to that time in our lives where they're starting to, get illnesses and get age on them, and they're starting to pass away. And so I think it's starting to dawn on us that they're getting age on them and aren't always going to be there. And so just remember us and remember my Aunt Irene's daughters, Shelly and Chris. Thank you. So please join me in the prayer that Jesus taught, and hopefully I won't mess it up this Sunday. I'm actually, we'll just do this. Thank you. Our Father and Mother who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. And before I forget, as we always say, God's steady love endures forever. Now, our favorite part, I think, if you would unmute yourselves and pass the peace.
Well, I'm going to.
Hey, Christ be with you.
Peace, peace, everyone.
You're still muted.
Peace, y'all.
Everybody.
Man is still muted. Oh, well.
Peace. I want to say the Bigby's on the kids camera.
You
Francie,
can
looks
pass
like
peace
you're
with
a lot
body
better.
language.
Peace. Okay.
Peace, everybody. Fancy. Peace. I think you can mute us now. Hey, y'all.
Peace. We can hear you. Peace.
Spies.
All right. So if everybody will mute yourselves again, or we can go through and mute you, it doesn't matter. Now, for the people who's doing the Enhanced Parkway celebration, if you would, take it away.
That would be me, and there's no silly Gabriel trumpet blowing or hooplas. Mostly just a deeply heartfelt thank you to everybody who participated in the Enhanced Parkway campaign. We'll share some numbers with you, but we'd like to think back a little bit on the past 3.5 years and the generosity that made the numbers what they have become. And we begin with thanking all the advisors and team members who rolled up their sleeves to help, and they know who they are, but Judy and Patty and Andy and Ann and Robert and Kate and John and so many others who really rolled up their sleeves to help us make this possible. When we began the process, we called it Enhanced Parkway. It was a simple descriptor, but with a very big reach. In fact, as it turns out, we blew past enhancement and found much, much more. After several congregational meetings and surveys and fireside chats in your generous homes, you helped us identify a few priorities and probably a target of $200,000. We were wanting to accommodate our congregation's aging process and our ability to fully and safely allow all of us to participate in the expanding life of our church. And so that emerged as our top goal. Paving the parking lot was the biggest priority. And it was followed by building a better audio system and some kitchen upgrades, and it went on from there. And we decided to tackle them in that order. Boom, we got hit square side by the women of the kitchen who said, we're not gonna wait around for you to build the parking lot. We need something now. So we were just beginning the learning curve of our campaign. We learned throughout the campaign that one thing leads to another. We not only brought instant hot water to the kitchen, we purchased an industrial strength dishwasher. And to our great surprise, the men of the church learned how to use it. Conferences, congregational celebrations, and community gatherings just took on a whole new look and feel and new life because of that. We learned that do it yourself was maybe our best resource. Do it Marlin became the synonym for that. He cut out a pew in the middle of our chancellor for Mark Brady. And it signaled to all of us that people with disabilities are not a back seat at Parkway. Henrietta, our indomitable historian, reminded us that even as we cut out that pew, it was actually constructed on the site as the church was originally being built decades earlier. We learned that community consultants become lifelong friends and resources. The Adaptables joined us and helped us expand our bathroom accessibility, improved our parking lot design, and with Marlon's help, even found more storage for us. But Marlon was far more than a volunteer handyman. He was the first council president in our history to serve 3 consecutive terms. And in doing so, quietly and effectively took the lead in our campaign by visiting a select group of lead gifts. He was way out ahead of us, and we worked hard to catch up with him. The parking lot was a big deal. We learned about zoning and weather delays and the cost of asphalt. But we also, in the process, learned more about landscaping and our precious trees, water conservation, and a whole new awakening about the indigenous peoples who worship this place we call home long before us. The vision grew under our feet as improved audio for members with hearing loss became a complete audio-video system in both the chancel and the fellowship hall, just as improved bathroom access morphed into surprise storage space and an improved nursery. With the expanded vision came more pledges, and our excitement grew along with our gratitude. As our lead consultant, Sherry Lovell, reminded all of us, stewardship and campaigns are blessed gifts to ourselves in so many ways. It not only taught us things, it gave us the freedom to imagine more. So when we imagined a spontaneous eruption of strawberries around our property, of a new welcome sign, of a deconstructed sanctuary, and we reached outside our building and pulpit with much more vigor. These gifts in pledges, in sweat equity and prayer did in fact enhance us. We listened more deeply to those with disabilities who became our curriculum. We built community for neighbors who could use our land in volunteer spirit and celebrate a shared democracy. And we dedicated repeated acts for climate, for food, for racial, and for immigrant justice. So we thank you today for honoring your pledges and sharing your many gifts, expanding our vision and lifting up a small sense of enhancement to more fully express who we are in God's presence. So I'm going to turn this over to Joni now to share some numbers, and if Margaret wants to weigh in with some reflections. Before Joni begins with her numbers, I will share with you that we would be remiss if Margaret and I didn't say an extra thank you to Joni, because we were done in a year's time. Joni has lived with the accounting and the reminding and the monitoring and the careful spending of your gifts, and she has done so with grace. So Joni, take it away with the numbers.
Okay. Thank you again to everybody. And Bill, I love that great write-up that you did. We ended up with a total of 86 pledges for our Enhanced Parkway. We pledged a total of $251,212, which is why Bill said you just blew us away. And that covered all of our expenditures with a little bit left over. We ended up realizing over $242,000, which was a 96.5% fulfillment rate, which is really remarkable for a campaign such as that. So we've done a lot. We did more than what we had originally planned, and we have a few $1,000s left over, which is awesome to take us into the next step. So again, thank you all very much.
Joni, it also occurred to me, and is worth noting, that we were panicked as we began because our pastor went on sabbatical when we got started. So that may be a reminder that we need to encourage him to do that more often. Thank you all.
That was awesome. Didn't miss the trumpet at all. That was fantastic. At this time, I emailed a couple people that just the list of people that I had mailed Star Words to earlier in the week. And I got a couple of responses back from Sarah Lou and Kay, and then a few other folks who maybe weren't willing to share in the larger group. But Kay and Sarah Lou were willing to share in the larger group. And then anybody else after them that might want to share briefly, you're welcome to with your Star Word if you'd like. But Kay or Sarah Lou, whichever one of you want to go first, please feel free to share about how your Star Word is inspiring you, bringing you challenges, you know, whatever you want to share. Thank you.
Well, since it's silent, I'll go. My word was commitment, is commitment. And I have it on my bathroom mirror. Actually, the word wasn't on the star, but I know what the star means. And so I look at that. And so I try to think every day what I want to be committed to. But a couple of the commitments for the year are to really contribute to the food bank every month and to really work on understanding white supremacy and how I have lived in white supremacy and how to make changes on that. That's an ongoing commitment for me, and I try to read and remember and to be aware all the time. So that's where I am.
My word is on my bedroom mirror, and every morning I look at it. It's also there with last year's star. And my word was discovery. And so I try to think every day of finding out about something, to discover something new. Just trying to incorporate, finding out and taking part in the world since we've stopped pretty much, trying to reach out and discover new things and old things for that matter. So that's where I'm at, is just trying to make every day to find out something new and better in the world.
Thank you both. Is there anybody else who got a star word from the church that wasn't on my list that I mailed out, who might want to share briefly about your star word? It's up to you. Like, this is not a share or die kind of thing. I don't work that way. I'm an introvert. Go for it, Carol. Do you need me to unmute you? Let's see. Oh, sorry, I did it again. I'm sorry, go for it. I hit unmute and then it muted you right at the same time.
There we go. Okay. I got in the mail the word believe. And it was curious to me. And I stayed with it, and I realized that in one of my professor's ways of understanding spirituality, there were 4 legs to it. And the personal experience of God was one leg, but the experience of community was another leg. And he said, if the legs aren't the same size, if one of your legs, like hanging out and meditating, is really long, but if your community leg is short, you're not going to have a stable table, is what he called it, of spirituality. So the belief that I have been coming to see over the last month is because of being able to be in this format. Is my job, my calling now is to believe in you all, is to believe and trust, though the institution has done so much damage to me, that this institution is made up of cool people. And so I've been leery, and I circle close and then I pull away. And yesterday when I was cleaning out my roll top desk, I found my certificate of joining the church, which nobody seemed to have, like it had been lost. And so I've been a member since 2011, but I had been around the church since 2005. So learning to believe that, imperfect people are in this church, loving imperfect people. And I'm so grateful. And I don't know if you can see this card, but I like to sometimes pull cards and just wonder about them. This is an animal spirit card. And so the card that I pulled this last couple months, I've been looking at this, ant spirit, time to collaborate. And that's when I decided to join the education group and start trying to do what I can to make education better in our community. But everybody who shared or laughed or giggled or pride has helped me to feel comfortable in deepening into this beautiful nest called Parkway. So I believe in Parkway, and it's up on my file cabinet at where I work in this room, because I see that over and over every day. So I believe in Parkway. I believe in love.
Thank you, Carol. That should be on our t-shirts too. All right. If there's nobody else, also, like, I can't see if you're raising hands on this side of the screen because like it's 2 pages for me. So if you're wanting to go, like, you'll just have to like unmute yourself and go, because I can't see you. So I'll give it 2 seconds. 1, 2. Okay. David Scruggs, you now have the floor. You take us away and share.
My Lord, he said unto me, do you like my garden so fair? You may live in this garden if you keep the grasses green, and I'll return in the cool of the day. Now is the cool of the day. Now is the cool of the day. This earth is a garden, the garden of my Lord, and he walks in his garden in the cool of the day. And my Lord, he said unto me, do you like my garden so pure? You may live in this garden if you keep the waters clean, and I'll return in the cool of the day. Now is the cool of the day. Now is the cool of the day. This earth is a garden, the garden of my Lord, and he walks in his garden in the cool of the day. And my Lord, he said unto me, do you like my pasture so green? You may live in this garden if you will feed my sheep, and I'll return in the cool of the day. Now is the cool of the day. Now is the cool of the day. This earth is a garden, the garden of my Lord, and he walks in his garden in the cool of the day.
That was gorgeous. Thank you to Sean Nelligan, Tim Binkley, and David Scruggs. That was in the cool of the day. Hear this reading from Psalm 19, which I think is perfectly appropriate for that song, by the way. So Hear this reading. The heavens are telling the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims his handiwork. Day to day pours forth speech, and night to night declares knowledge. There is no speech, nor are there words. Their voice is not heard, yet their voice goes out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In the heavens, he has set a tent for the sun, which comes out like a bridegroom from his wedding canopy, and like a strong man runs its course with joy. Its rising is from the end of the heavens, and its circuit to the end of them, and nothing is hid from its heat. The law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. The decrees of the Lord are sure, making wise the simple. The precepts of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is clear, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is pure, enduring forever. The ordinances of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, even much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and drippings of the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is your servant warned. In keeping them, there is great reward. But who can detect their errors? Clear me from hidden faults. Keep back your servant also from the insolent. Do not let them have dominion over me. Then I shall be blameless and innocent of great transgression. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. This is what the Spirit is saying to the churches. Thanks be to God. I'll never forget the first time I sat on top of Brasstown Bald. I was just in the parking lot this day, the highest point in Georgia, waiting on a youth group to arrive so we could go on a hike. I arrived ridiculously early and just sat in my car, and the fog on top of the mountain was incredibly thick. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, it was as though the air changed and the fog took on a different nature completely. It's as if the fog began to dance, and as it danced, it gained speed and swirled, and all in one fell swoop, it swirled and swooshed right off the mountainside. And just like that, the day was clear and sunny, and the sky just as blue. I can't explain what happened that day or exactly what I felt, but what comes close is awe, just awe. The fog looked like people. They looked like they were dancing. I often forget that the rest of creation is in a constant act of worship of the divine, that humans are not the only ones who have a monopoly on worshiping the Holy One. Psalm 19, 1-4 reads, "The heavens are telling the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims his handiwork. Day to day pours forth speech, and night to night declares knowledge. There is no speech, nor are there words. Their voice is not heard, yet their voice goes out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world." The rest of creation does not need to write songs or pick out the perfect stanza to go with the chorus, because the work stands alone and speaks for itself. The intricacies with which God has set the world and universe in motion is astonishing when I think about it. God's words are thought to be so pure, just, and right, they set everything else in their right place too. Everything is guiding us back and pointing towards something larger than ourselves. When I think about how the earth is just in the right position with the sun for us not to burn up or to freeze completely, it blows my mind. Or for all of our water just to dry up and us just like not have any water ever again. It just fascinates me. Recently, I took a quick walk in behind the church to look at the Linton prayer walk series, just to check it out. You know, I'm going to go back later and take a little bit slower walk. All of the stations are really cool, but one in particular caught my interest in a special way. One of the stations specifically talks about how the dappling of light in the forest mimics eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing therapy. You might know it as EMDR. I'm about to give the most simplified definition ever, but you can feel free to go and Google it and look it up for yourself later. It's EMDR therapy. This type of therapy utilizes eye movement to help the brain and body process trauma. It's kind of like this. For some reason, therapists and trauma therapists and studies have shown that this particular way that the eye moves back and forth and that motion really helps the brain to be able to metabolize and process trauma. The way the light moves back and forth over the forest floor and along the other tree trunks catches your eye and invites it to move in a similar way as EMDR. Just for clarification, this is in no way to suggest to replace your professional therapist with the forest. I know it's tempting, but please do not do that. That is not what I'm recommending. However, adding some extra time out in nature or in the woods could help you to reconnect to your body, to literally get grounded and calm your nervous system. Forest bathing is something that is used in different therapy groups all around the world, in addition to EMDR and the treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder.
I don't know how we might, I don't know what I feel.
Someone isn't muted. Could you please mute? Thank you. The way that there are things already built into nature that our brains need in order to heal from trauma and other things blows me away. I don't know about you all, because I can only speak for myself, but there are days where I feel forgotten. The hustle and bustle of every day becomes overwhelming, and I think, how can this be all there is? All the fast food restaurants around me, you hear everything on the news, and when I get on I-40 and Highway 52, I lose my mind. One morning, I woke up after a particularly rough week, a little earlier than I normally do, and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I just decided to go ahead and get out of bed. Everything was so quiet and still except for the birds singing. And when I went outside to my car, I looked up and the sky was just so blue, but with the clouds in the most interesting pattern. It was a reminder to me that there's just so much more beyond me into this life. It brought me back not only to my body, but to the world around me. To me, that's what this season of Lent is for. I came up in a tradition where I did not get to fully appreciate Christmas or Easter, and in fact, I dreaded them because it felt like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. There they are, and then it's just over. All of a sudden, here's Christmas. All of a sudden, here's Easter, and then we just go on about our daily life. But now I'm in a tradition where we get to fully have these seasons that build up, that bring us into full appreciation of what they mean and what they're for. This is a contemplative season, this invitation to slow down and to pay attention to all there is. Francis Weller, in his book, The Wild Edge of Sorrow, says that grief and gratitude go hand in hand. They don't exist separately from one another. And I want to feel everything as long as I can stand it. I don't want to miss a moment because the next breath is never guaranteed. Psalm 19, Lent, all of this reminds me to slow down, pay attention, and to consider that which is really important. I love what the psalmist in chapter 19, verses 7 through 10 writes. The law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. The decrees of the Lord are sure, making wise the simple. The precepts of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is clear, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is pure, enduring forever. The ordinances of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, even much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and drippings of the honeycomb. The rest of creation is already singing and humming with these sweet drippings of delight. And I believe that humans are too, but that we are out of sync or touch with our own vibrations at times. I often see myself as separate from the rest of creation. And then that's when I feel out of my body and out of sorts. We are the reflection of God in the world. We are made in the image of God. God delights in God's creation, just as God's creation is delighting in itself and in God. It is one messy, huge, playful circle, and it's beautiful. And every day we have the ability to learn from the wider world around us. There's an invitation every day we wake up. The laws and precepts God has already written in the trees and in the stars. We have the ability to create and play as well. The psalmist writes, "Moreover, by them is your servant warned. In keeping them, there is great reward. But who can detect their errors? Clear me from hidden faults. Keep back your servant also from the insolent. Do not let them have dominion over me. Then I shall be blameless and innocent of great transgression. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer." We have the ability to make new altars and creations in this world, seen and unseen. I know there are altars that I keep going back to in my own heart, that I'm taking time at picking at and apart, stone by stone, and others that I am erecting, whether I'm aware of it or not. And then there's others that I dust off each day and adorn with new flowers and memories. Some of my altars are hidden in weeds, overgrown by kudzu, but stay there, and I hope no one can ever see them. Eventually, that kudzu peeps out and can overgrow on other things and choke them out and go beyond me if I'm not careful. Maybe even overgrowing onto my carefully preened and pressed altar that I love, unless I ask the Holy Gardener to help me discern what's good and what's right. Things can become hard to take care of. Sometimes I need help from others to get rid of the kudzu when I'm ready before it takes over other parts of my life. It takes vulnerability. It does. And that's terrifying. Once I'm past all of that, then the real work of dismantling those old altars can begin. The work of making sure we are tending to ourselves is hard. It's a lot harder even than tending to others sometimes. Self-examination is not easy. It is a daily practice of vulnerability and self-compassion. All the world around us is teeming in exaltation and praise and delight of the one who loves us completely and wholly as we are and not as we hope to be. I'm going to read that again. All the world is teeming in exaltation and praise of the one who loves us completely and wholly as we are, not as we hope to be. Nicole Nordman, who's one of my favorite contemporary Christian music artists, wrote this song that I'm pretty obsessed with. And I listen to it when I just really need a little extra TLC. It's called Holy River God, and you don't have to listen to it if you don't want to. But the lyrics, some of the lyrics go like this. It's, "Rolling river God, little stones are smooth, only once the water passes through. So I am a stone, rough and grainy still, trying to reconcile this river's chill. But when I close my eyes and feel you rushing by, I know that time brings change, and change takes time. And when the sunset comes, my prayer would be this one, that you might pick me up and notice that I am just a little smoother in your hand. Sometimes raging wild, sometimes swollen high, never have I known this river dry. The deepest part of you is where I want to stay and feel the sharpest edges wash away. You don't have to wait for some extraordinary thunderbolt to hit you for your life to begin to change. Sometimes God works like a river. Sometimes God is that river, working away, easing at that stone over time and washing away our rough and sharp edges. The Holy One is experienced in the soft dappling and dance of light between the leaves of trees, the red buds on trees and hints of spring, and the laughs of my youth group on Tuesday nights, and the soft nudge of pets that want snuggles, grandbabies' cries. The whole world is speaking, humming, and singing. Our spirits are doing the same. We just need to be still and pay attention. And maybe when we're ready, pick up some pruning shears with the help of the one who knows and loves us so completely. I'll finish with this. In the words of the psalmist, each day, take up maybe a daily practice of saying, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Amen. I just want to take a moment and say thank you for everyone who shared something today, whether it was your music, your artwork, your new painting you picked up that you're taking delight in, everything with Enhanced Parkway, your gift with numbers, you know, the way that your brain works around those. Just everything that you do that makes up Parkway, the beautiful delight. What was it you said, Carol Pinnick? I choose love and Parkway. It's just delighting in that. Thank you. Thank you for everyone who makes up Parkway United Church of Christ, and thank you for the work you're doing in the world, because we need you. And as always, you can send your offering either online, or if you write a check, you can mail it to the church. You know, however you give with your time or your money, we are just eternally grateful for that. And it helps further our work here on earth. At this time, I would like to make time for announcements. I know Craig had one. Craig, would you like to share?
Thank you, Andrea. I've got a number. First thing, just a reminder, next weekend we spring forward. We will still worship at 10:45 a.m. next Sunday. And it is not second Sunday next Sunday, so Bible study and drawdown class will continue next week prior to worship. We have 8 beautiful facilitators who have been preparing to be with all of you for our table talks. And we don't have very many people signed up. So this is my urgent invitation to go ahead and sign up. Or you could just, if it's daunting to use those buttons on the website, or I mean on our announcements, send me an email today. I'm putting it in the chat right now, and let us know which of the table talks. There's this Tuesday at 7, this Wednesday at 1:30 in the afternoon, and this coming Saturday at 9:30 a.m. We hope you'll take advantage of this beautiful opportunity to really build deeper community in our congregation. And then secondly is an opportunity on March the 20th in the morning to do a day retreat virtually. But the beautiful thing about this is we're taking a 40-minute break from being on Zoom to go outside and to experience something. We'll prepare you for that experience, and then we'll come back and process that together. So it's not the whole time staring at a screen. So consider that as well. If you've not had an opportunity to go ahead and get your t-shirt, your new Parkway t-shirt, go to our announcements and order that t-shirt now. Lastly, this congregation has had such a profound commitment to voting rights. And in that vein, I ask you to reach out to both of our North Carolina senators this week. Ask them, I know it's really an uphill climb in the US Senate, but ask them to support For the People Act. It is vitally important. For the People Act, HR 1. Give them a call, send them an email. That is an important action this week. And the last thing is an interfaith, international movement is happening. And Green Faith is urging everybody this week, Thursday, to make a sign. I don't know if you can see my sign. Make a sign and put it on your Facebook page or other social media. It could be any message around climate justice with on the bottom put hashtag faith for climate and then what church you are affiliated with. There is lots of information on how to participate this Thursday at greenfaith.org. I'll put that in the chat as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll hear our closing song from August Para. That was so good. Thank you, August.
You're welcome.
That was so great. I'm going to try something a little different for the sending forth. It just came to me, so I hope it's the spirit and not just a glitch in my brain. take your hands and rub them together as fast as you can. Just do it. I want you to get some heat in them. Rub them as fast as you can. Okay. And then I want you to just stop and throw them out like this. Do you feel the energy in that? And the heat coming out and the blood pulsing? If you're still rubbing your hands, you can stop. Just, yeah, you can feel them in your face and everything. Just feel that energy. The rest of the world around you is teeming with that too. It's just so cool. Beloved, I want you to go out today knowing that the same stuff that's making up these trees and the sunshine and the grass underneath your feet, it's making up you too. And you share in that. Go out and make some good vibrations today, y'all. Go out and enjoy the sun. Go breathe in that deep air. Go forth in the confident knowledge that you were loved and held by God. Go forth in a just peace. Amen.